Hi, everyone. Welcome to Mini Scroll, the daily internet culture podcast bringing you the biggest stories from social media, the creator economy, and the digital space every Monday through Thursday. I'm your host, Lauren Meisner, the founder of the youth digital media brand Centennial World. Welcome back to Mini Scroll, everyone. All right, I have 4 stories for you guys today. 3 of them are recent, and one actually happened last week, but it just came across my desk, and it is so relevant to my life, and I was like, I just need to share this. Okay, so let's just get straight into it. The first story that I have for you guys is that Liam Payne's ex-girlfriend, Maya Henry, has accused the former One Direction star of stalking her since they split. So Maya posted an 8-minute TikTok earlier this week where she said that Liam has been obsessively trying to contact her through multiple different phone numbers since they split. Maya and Liam got together in 2019, they got engaged in 2020, and they broke up in 2022. So it's been like 2-ish years of this, apparently. Quote, ever since we broke up, he messages me blowing up on my phone. It's not just from his number, it's always from different numbers, so I never know where it's coming from, she said. She said he's also been contacting her mother and friends, and she expressed feeling frustrated that his behavior is always kind of hidden from the public. So Maya posted this video after she revealed in a TikTok duet that Zayn Malik was the One Direction bandmate who threw Liam up against a wall in a backstage altercation. So Liam told this story without naming Zayn on Logan Paul's podcast in 2022. In that same interview, he also said he was meant to be the frontman of One Direction, and that was quickly debunked when it was revealed that Niall Horan was actually chosen as the first band member and I guess was meant to be the frontman initially. I don't think it's a surprise that Zayn was the one who pushed him against the wall if we know anything about Zayn and what Yolanda Hadid, former star of Real Housewives of Beverly Hills and mother to Gigi and Bella Hadid, and Anwar, we can't forget Anwar, has to say about Zayn. We know he has seemingly displayed allegedly, a history of violent behavior. But yeah, it is like genuinely scary. It's not just annoying, like it's genuinely scary that it's been this long and Maya is allegedly being constantly contacted by different phone numbers from Liam. Like, that is creepy and that is scary. Okay, the next story that I have for you guys is that YouTuber Jack Doherty crashed his $300,000 McLaren in a live stream, and now somehow Karina Kopf and Jeff Wittick are involved. Okay, so Jack has a massive following on boy internet for his stunts and his pranks. He has over 14 million YouTube subscribers and 3 million Instagram followers. In 2023, Jack bought a custom McLaren for $300,000. Jack, by the way, just turned 21. Like, he was 20 when he crashed it. So on Sunday, he was live streaming while driving down the highway in the pouring rain while he was seemingly on his phone. Many people who were watching it say it seemed like he was on his phone. He lost control of the car and crashed into the guardrail, and his car was like smashed, the whole front. His friend, who was in the passenger seat filming him, emerged from the crash with blood all over his face. And Jack basically was like, oh my God, grabbed the camera and started like filming him instead of being like, are you okay, man? He was like, oh, this is gonna make great footage. So the live stream was on Kick, which is a Twitch competitor that has become really popular with basically problematic creators because it has fewer platform guidelines for like what you can and cannot post, what you can and cannot promote. But Kick actually deplatformed Jack because of this. So Jack then posted a topless photo of himself standing beside the wrecked McLaren on social media, writing that he crashed it just days before his 21st birthday and is glad that they're both okay. So Florida Highway Safety and Motor Vehicles have said that they've launched an investigation into the wreck. Obviously, this is all just bad enough. This is just such a classic case of someone who is in the spotlight, way too young, way too much entitlement, way too many yes men around you. You have all this fame, this money, this validation as a teenage boy. Teenage boys are already entitled and reckless. I can't even imagine what it would be like to have everything that he has. So am I surprised that he thought he was invincible and was like on his phone while it was pouring rain, driving this $300,000 car and crashed? Probably not really. So all of that was, bad enough. But then he took to TikTok Live yesterday and was essentially asking people to like give him money in the app via like, tips and gifts and things like that. And then when he was asked to address the accident by someone, he said, I literally hydroplaned. I'm in a McLaren in the pouring rain. What do you expect? You guys have never drove a fucking McLaren. Okay, Jack. Okay. So this actually turned into beef between Karina Kopf and Jeff Wittick because Karina expressed her disgust with Jack like filming his friend while he was bleeding from his face after the accident. So on Twitter, she quote tweeted a clip of the live stream writing, your friend's face is gushing blood, but you make sure he stays filming from all angles. Nice. And then Jeff commented, like responded and said, I don't see anything different here than what your idiot friend, as in David Dobrik, did to me, which actually was supposed to be you. The only difference is your friend tried saying I asked him to do it and then blamed it on me. Jeff is just not holding back. Like he has so much anger for David and like fully understandable, but like he really just let it like he pushed it down, let it fester for like, what was it, maybe a year or two. And then it has just bubbled up and like exploded. And it's just, he's just letting it all out this past year or two since the lawsuit. But I think that's fair enough, that criticism. Like Karina has stayed friends with David and his whole thing was putting all of that kind of stuff online. Like I truly believe if this accident happened to David Dobrik and he was in the car, he would have done the same thing. He would have prioritized filming it for content. So yeah, I think that is like a valid criticism from Jeff. And what Jeff went through was so traumatic. Like I understand he's just trying to like get justice and like get through it. Okay, the next story that I have is that Billie Eilish has said that she will never discuss her sexuality publicly again. In a new interview for Vogue, Billie Eilish has opened up about what it was like to publicly share her sexuality last year. Quote, I wish no one knew anything about my sexuality or anything about my dating life. Ever, ever, ever. And I hope that they never will again. And I'm never talking about my sexuality ever again. And I'm never talking about who I'm dating ever again. I guess I also underestimate the things I say will be blown into the biggest news of the whole world. That's so unnatural. We're all babies. We're all little kids growing up and learning ourselves. So what she's referring to here is earlier this year, Billie went viral when she told a Rolling Stone journalist about the first time she realized she was attracted to women while writing her song Lunch. And of her sharing that with Rolling Stone, she said she felt frustrated that she was in interview mode and kind of shared that part of her story while she was, doing this interview. This is just another example of a celebrity who used to be kind of accessible to their fans, but then the 24/7 feedback from social media becomes too much. And now she's literally publicly telling us, like, you are not going to know about my relationships, about, my own sexuality journey, which is like fine. Like that is so personal. But those are things that, made her really relatable and her fans loved about her. It was like going on this journey with her and while they're exploring themselves as well, because Billie is only 22. And I think that is part of that kind of relationship that a star has with their fans, like especially an artist, because they are singing typically about, their emotions, their experiences, their life, things like that. So yeah, I think it is unfortunate that we are just going to see more and more stars, seeing it with Chappell Roan too, just have to pull back because the feedback, whether it's positive or negative, it's just too overwhelming. It's too much when they share anything personal. And that is a little teaser for the deep dive that we have coming up on next Friday. Okay, the last story that I have for you guys, like I said, this one is a little bit old. It's from last week, but it just came across my desk. So there is some Canadian TikTok high tea drama. And I had to cover this because for those of you who don't know, I'm from Oakville, Ontario, which is basically right beside Toronto. It's like a suburb of Toronto. And this drama takes place between Burlington and Kitchener, which are also kind of like, well, Burlington especially, but like suburbs of Toronto. Burlington's right beside Oakville. So this is like my life. Like this is where I grew up. This was my domain. And I was like dying. This is so niche and like specific to me. And I feel like I never talk about anything Canadian related on this podcast in terms of like what's going on online. So I was like, we need to cover this one. Okay, so there is this TikTok account called Queen of Afternoon Tea, and she reviews high tea / like afternoon tea experiences around the GTA and Southern Ontario. GTA here stands for Greater Toronto Area, not Grand Theft Auto. So she is known for really brutally honest reviews, and I think she's only given like 1 5 out of 5 on her account since she started rating cafes. Okay, so the queen of afternoon tea, she gave a really bad review last week to the Cupcake Cafe, which is in Mapleview Mall. And I cannot explain how like specifically niche this is to my life and my experiences. If you guys grew up in the GTA, you know, Mapleview Mall, you know. So she calls this the worst afternoon tea review yet. And to be fair, like, it's in Mapleview Mall. She said it's like way too expensive for what you get. It's $55 a person. She said only one tea that you're offered isn't caffeinated, which she says is like unacceptable. Like lots of people don't want to have caffeine. She called the bread stale. The service she called horrible. And basically like the attention to detail just wasn't there. She also said they were supposed to be like chocolate covered strawberries that came out with their afternoon tea, and they just like didn't get anything like that. Okay, so this went viral because it was like so savage. And then the cafe responded to her, and this is where it gets like a little bit dramatic. The cafe owner said that she was recently made aware that the queen of afternoon tea actually owns her own competing cafe in Kitchener, and that none of that was disclosed on her page. So the owner is basically like, this is a competing cafe owner trying to slander my cafe because my cafe is doing well. So she addressed the criticism saying the bread was purchased fresh. The strawberries were basically, she said something happened. I don't know if they were like mushy or they weren't ripe enough, but she was like, they weren't like good enough to serve. So we offered everyone on that day like a different type of dessert instead of the strawberries because we didn't want to serve those. She basically just tried to like debunk all of her claims about why it was like a bad experience. And then she also said that the Queen of Afternoon Tea has sent her friends and followers to message the cafe death threats and leave 1-star reviews when these people have not even gone to the cafe. Which I think, of course, death threats are like so unacceptable. That is literally the craziest thing ever. If this cafe is getting death threats to people that work at this cafe or own the cafe because of a bad review, if that is where internet culture has gone, like we need collective mass therapy. Like that is so insane if that is true. And I also agree you should not be leaving reviews if you have not attended a cafe, you know, like especially because like they just didn't have a good experience. Like, I don't know, like, okay, I'm thinking about Scandival, for example, when fans started spamming, what's it called? Schwartz and Sandy's? Yeah. Whatever their bar is called. I think that's what it's called. And they started spamming it with like 1-star reviews and leaving bad Yelp reviews and things like that. Like, okay, that's also like not totally fair, but also, yes, Tom Sandoval did something bad. It doesn't have anything to do with his bar, but like he did something really bad. This cafe, like this person just left a negative review. Like that is like what she does. Like that is, she reviews cafes and experiences and she didn't like this one. That's all it was. On that train of thought, however, it's like, it's really not that serious, but I understand that for the cafe owner, it feels like, especially because this video got over 6.6 million views, like it's gone so viral. So this is like really not doing well for, I'm sure, her business's like perception. So I understand her feeling like really defensive and stressed and making this video. However, in her response video, she also showed the face of Queen of Afternoon Tea, and Queen of Afternoon Tea has never shown her face on her account before. So it was like kind of doxing. I mean, I think if you can trace her digital footprint, I think you can find her face. But like regardless, it's not great. So YouTuber Marky looked into the whole like competing cafe thing because again, Queen of Afternoon Tea has never said that, like she's not disclosed that. And he basically said if you go through the older content of this alleged Kitchener cafe, you will see the woman whose face was like exposed as Queen of Afternoon Tea in the Cupcake Cafe's response video. Are you following? None of these people have names. Well, I think they probably do, but I don't want to like necessarily say their name. Well, they obviously have names. That is like a crazy thing that I just said. They obviously have names. I'm I mean, it was probably, their names are probably public somewhere online, but I don't necessarily want to say them because I don't know how public they want to be. So he basically looked into this. And yeah, if you look back through the older content on this alleged Kitchener cafe, you will see this woman's face who is supposedly supposedly, I hate when people say that, supposedly Queen of Afternoon Tea's face, like it's supposedly her, she's talking in that content about how she's trying to sell the business. And then he found that her review count, Queen of Afternoon Tea, was launched after that video was posted of her talking about how she's trying to sell the cafe. So he's kind of like, well, maybe she wasn't able to sell the cafe and she still owns it, but it's also possible that she sold it. And then after she sold it and there's no longer a conflict of interest, now she does this review account, which I feel like is maybe more likely. I don't know. But yes, that is the very niche Southern Ontario high tea cafe drama for you. Thank you guys so much for listening today. Please rate, review, and subscribe. Please leave us Spotify stars. I'm really trying to get our Spotify reviews up, and you guys are pulling through. You guys are like leaving those stars. Please subscribe on YouTube. We're also obviously trying to get our subscribers up on YouTube. I love you guys, and I will talk to you tomorrow. Bye.